Hey there, my name is Dominic and I'm a landscape professional in Long Beach, California, and I'm here to chat with you about some new requirements for remodeling your landscape. Okay, so there seems to be what's kind of a laundry list of new landscape requirements from the state of California that are being implemented here in Long Beach starting April 3rd, 2017. But the good news is the city has streamlined the permit process. So in all reality, there's just a few simple steps you need to take in the implementation process of your landscape, and really they're put in place to make the landscape look much better and have a greater longevity. In this video, we're going to review the list of requirements and break them down for you in an easy to understand fashion. While the main focus of the new requirements is really water conservation, the end result will be a wonderful new approach to landscaping in Long Beach. It's sensible, it's economical, it's beautiful. It's Smartscape. So let's jump right in. Obviously, the first step in starting a landscape project is creating a plan. The city will need to see a few items on the plan so you can get a permit to start the project. It can be a simple sketch of the project area which shows measurements or dimensions of the space. You will also need a few key pieces of information, like the name and property address. So far, pretty easy, right? From here, you will need to show where the new plants will go, identify their species, and provide a square footage for the overall area. Super basic. Along with this, you can depict any new walkways, patios, or other design elements on the plan. Again, this drawing doesn't have to be an award-winning sketch, so long as you're showing enough information for the city to approve it. Larger landscape projects, however, will require a plan prepared by a landscape design professional. Take a look at the links on the city website regarding landscape planning for more detailed information. So let's chat about who's being affected by these new regulations. The answer is everyone who is planning on a new landscape project consisting of over 500 square feet, and everyone who is planning on re-landscape an existing project over 2,500 square feet. By new landscape projects, we mean the addition of new plants and plantings to an area that were formerly not covered with plant material. And by re-landscaping projects, we mean the removal of old grass and plants and the installation of new ones of the same or different species. Now, for these qualifying projects, you'll need to follow a simple checklist of landscape design instructions. All the items on the checklist will need to be followed to be able to get a permit to do your landscape projects. Now that we've covered some basics, let's look at the checklist itself. The first item on this checklist is in regards to adding compost to your landscape. Compost is basically just healthy soil with a bunch of organic matter which adds nutrients back into the existing soil. This is sometimes referred to as soil amendment and is often a pretty necessary step in preparing your landscape for new plants. You might ask, how much do I need to add? The checklist has you covered. For every 1,000 square feet, you need to add 4 cubic yards to your existing soil. Typically, this added compost is tilled in with the natural soil so it mixes together nicely. Now, this mandate makes the assumption that the current soil needs this added compost. If you feel your soil already has a nice amount of organic matter in it, you can hire a soil engineer to come and do a test. If the soil report shows that no compost is needed, simply submit that report with the plan so you can proceed with your permit. So now that you've checked the first box off on the checklist, you're ready to select plants. And of course, we want you to be as water conscious as possible with the plant selections. So you need to make sure that the new plants are below a certain threshold of water consumption. The state of California uses the WUCOLS database, which is the acronym for Water Use Classification of Landscape Species. This is where you can find the water usage rating associated with each plant. Now, the state is allowing us to use plants that have a rating of 0.3 or below, which these plants will have a classification of low next to their name. Most any plant available in California can be found on the WUCOLS database. So just follow the link on the city website to the WUCOLS database to make sure you're selecting approved plants. And again, this is really for your benefit, to help you create a landscape that will save you money by not wasting water. Now here's the cool thing. Additionally, your new project may qualify for funding assistance through the Long Beach Water Department's Lawn to Garden program. To learn more, visit lblawntogarden.com. Now let's talk about mulch. This is the top dressing that covers the exposed dirt in planting areas. To be able to check this box off the list, you need to make sure you use a minimum of 3 inches of mulch in all your planter beds. Mulch helps lock in moisture, which saves water obviously, and additionally it also helps prevent weeds. And it creates a really nice finished look. The exception to this rule is planter areas that have a creeping type of ground cover over them. They're not required to receive mulch. Next, we'll discuss turf, aka grass and lawn. Although the state is discouraging new turf installations, they're still allowing it for homeowners, but in a limited capacity. For residential landscape projects, the square footage of turf cannot exceed 25% of the landscape area. So if you do want to do turf in your design, make sure to do the math and show that it will not exceed the maximum amount allowed. Now for non-residential landscape projects, no turf will be allowed in new installations. Now there are a couple more regulations that we have to talk about. For sloped areas, if you do want to use turf, the slope percentage cannot exceed 25%. A 25% slope is sometimes referred to as a 4-to-1 slope. This means that for every 4 feet in distance, the slope drops by 1 foot. Now in all reality, it's typically not a great idea to use turf on slopes, being that it's incredibly difficult and dangerous to maintain. Now if you want to use turf in your parkway, which is the planting strip between your sidewalk and the street, you may do so as long as you water it with the subsurface irrigation method. And this is basically a drip tube that sits a few inches below the ground. The reason for this is to actually prevent runoff and overspray, which really wastes a ton of water. The last item on the checklist is the irrigation system. Now there's a few requirements here, so let's discuss the first one. If you're using an automatic timer, you'll need to make sure that it can collect soil moisture data as well as be attached to a rain sensor. Now many irrigation suppliers are selling these items now, and the installation is actually pretty easy. However, many folks are having landscape contractors help them install new irrigation systems. Timer boxes must have a backup battery just in case the power gets interrupted. Now most boxes have these, but just double check to make sure that the one you're buying is in compliance with the new checklist. Now regarding irrigating smaller areas, specifically ones that are 10 feet wide and under, subsurface drip is a requirement. Again, this rule is really in place to help mitigate runoff and overspray, which ultimately saves you money. Now for properties that are non-residential, there's one more rule in place. If your landscape area measures 1,000 square feet or more, you must install a sub-meter that is devoted strictly to measuring landscape irrigation. And this is just so agencies can get a better understanding of water that's going to landscape use versus other uses like drinking, washrooms, etc. Okay, we've made it through. Now this may sound like a bunch of overwhelming tasks, but really when you break it down one by one, it's actually pretty simple, and honestly, it's a really excellent guide to having a successful landscape while saving water. For landscape projects of all sizes, you'll find that the City of Long Beach is on your side. We're here to work together to make Long Beach a more water-wise and definitely a more beautiful city. For more information on the city's new landscaping regulations, call 562-570-6194 or visit lbds.info. My name is Dominic, and thanks for watching this short video on landscape water efficiency.